Yeah, go ahead, Kadeshanji.
So the brilliance, that brightness or effulgence, it came from fire only. That third in the row,
Correct, correct.
or it was there associated with space.
So when you say brilliance, you are talking about the brilliance that you can see, correct? Correct? When you say brilliance, what do you mean? You mean a shining, a brightness that you can perceive with your eyes, correct?
Mm.
The fire has brilliance. In fact, all brilliance belongs to fire only. Every light, the light that's there in my room here belongs to the light and belongs to the bulb and belongs to the sun. These are the two things that are the source of light in the room. So yes, the answer to your question is that brilliance comes with Agni. Correct.
Yeah, usually Brahman is associated with brilliance.
Yeah. So now you are referring to the capacity to sustain the entire world and the capacity to enliven Akashaha, Vayuhu, Agnihi, Apaha. Okay, everything, all the Panchabhutas, that Brahman, without Brahman, there is nothing. So therefore, that is also called brilliance. The brilliance of the creation, the brilliance of the creation folding back into Pralaya, and then Pralaya coming back to Srishti. All this is brilliance. And so that brilliance, yes, belongs to Brahman. Correct.
This is whatever the creation is part of Agankara. There is something called a Sakshi. Sakshi, like sun, gives its power to moon. Like that, the Sakshi gives that sensuous to Agankara. The Agankara is used for our worldly affairs, and it folds back to another person when this body goes away. So, but it is limited. It is not unlimited, and it is like a moonlight. So, whatever now today we have seen is part of Ahankara.
So Ahankara is going to come, which is also Sukshma Bhautika. The next he's going to mention.
No.
He's going to mention Mano Buddhi Ahankara Chittani. Do you all remember Mano Buddhi Ahankara Chittani Naham? Mano Buddhi Ahankara Chittani. That is coming. So that's coming, Venkateshanji.
Okay.
Yeah, good. Yeah, go ahead, Ma'am.
Yeah. So my question is that we are applying this model to the creation of or the manifestation of the universe, but equivalently, can't we like apply this to our own births, in the sense that it is almost like a parallel translation. So when we are born, the world, space becomes evident to us first, and from there, then so we can just follow through. So when I was hearing it, it looked as if it is exactly like that.
Yeah, exactly. So space becomes evident. What do you mean by that? So explain that. Explain what you mean by it's the creation that you're talking about, thinking of.
Space. It becomes evident in the sense that this I becomes, it starts to cognize distances. So in that sense, initially, so even in our normal day-to-day life, from deep sleep, when I wake up, it's almost as if space gets created.
Correct.
Right. It's almost as if space is getting created right there at that moment when I wake up.
Correct.
And time also comes into being It's not that it is continuing, it comes into being.
Correct.
So it's a direct parallel to what, this I goes through day to day.
Correct. So it has to be like that. So so when you give the example of deep sleep, so the moment we wake up, the first thing that happens is space and time taken for granted immediately comes. Then only awareness and all, awareness of other things. Then probably, I mean, if things happen very fast. So it's happened so fast that we can't say a few seconds time. I was aware of time and space. Then I was aware of the sense of touch. The room was cool. The night it had cooled down. So like that we can't say. But yeah, so that seems to be the progression. Now,
I have
very
interesting. We should pay attention when we wake up tomorrow.
I thought the sense of I comes first when you wake up, even before you wake up, like the sense of space, like you know that you are awake or something, like even before that. Is that true, or am I wrong in
No, that is not my experience. It's
no, it's not the experience, but when you read Vedanta, they say the sense of I, because that sense is always there, that I, the feeling of awareness.
Oh, you meant the I.
Yeah,
oh, I thought the I.
Not this. No, not. The sense of I is the feeling that I exist, the existence.
Yeah.
And all together they make up like samsara. Samsara is back, so I think everything comes back.
Yeah, it is. But like if we go the subtlest to subtlest, like the sense of the moment you are the closest to the sense that you have is I, and then you have because without the sense of I, you cannot even recognize the space existence of
Brahman then? Brahman?
No, I don't know if you call that Brahman, but the sense of I comes first is what was when we discuss about Vedanta classes, and in those classes, the way I remember it, maybe I'm wrong, but is the sense of I comes first, and then then you start recognizing the space and everything else, because without I, the sense of I, there is no recognition, because in deep sleep even that sense is gone, right? Like, I mean, it is there, but the awareness of that is gone.
So we can't equate what happens when you wake up to this Srishti. This is Srishti. This is creation we are talking about. So what happens after deep sleep? Everything happens suddenly. So really speaking, first and second also you can't say so. You can't use those words. Everything is taken for granted. Space and time is taken for granted. I comes, suddenly the I thought is there, and I am awake, and I am so and so. All the entire whatever the I
within
stands.
fraction of seconds, you cannot distinguish probably.
Entire I comes, and I comes means world also comes. It's like two sides of the coin. Two sides of the coin. If I recognize I, it automatically means I have recognized the world. It's not like I comes, then I'm trying to figure out who am I. Oh, I'm in this room. That is not the way. Both the room and I come together.
Yeah.
Okay, we must be careful. We must be a little careful here. See, if you say I recognize the heads, if you say, that means what? You already recognize there are two sides of the coin, and then the two sides are there. Only then you can say the first side I see. So like that, but yeah, Shankara is very important, because you may not have other thoughts yet. You may not have other thoughts. I have to go to work, and my children, what are they doing? All these thoughts haven't come yet. That is possible. That's possible. Okay. So today I have to go to the bank. All these thoughts haven't come yet. You just woke up. The I thought is there. Immediately I thought is there. I thought cannot be stopped. It comes. And yes, from that perspective, you're right. I thought comes. So we don't need to equate this to this Srishti. I mean, if you equate it, then we have to say space and time taken for granted. And then only this I thought comes. Because it's thought, which we are going to cover later on. That is one point. So the space, see, another thing is this. Srishti, space comes. Awareness of space. Awareness of space is a little different from creation of space. Okay. So awareness of space, space being subtle, think about this. Space being subtle and Prithvi being the most sthula, most least subtle of the five. You look at a child. When we look at children, we understand this. A small child can appreciate so many objects. Food, it appreciates. Milk, bottle, milk, it appreciates that. Right? Apple, it appreciates. And you give it a chocolate, it appreciates. I'm talking of a, few-month-old baby. 6 months also you can take. And it appreciates all the sthulas. It has not yet appreciated space. Correct? Correct? There's no idea of space. And you can't, time and space, it doesn't know anything. Time and all, you can't talk to children, but I'll come later. Mummy has gone to the market, she will come later. And mummy. So later means, what are you talking? Mummy is not there. That's all I know. I want mummy. Later, 1 hour later she will come. What 1 hour you're talking? And it takes so much time to understand time. Even grown-up children, it will take them some time to understand time. Correct? So the subtler it is, the harder it is to perceive. Okay, so that also we may want to put a note, bookmark it and think about it. So even though the order is like this, Akasha, Vayu, it doesn't mean perception also goes along the same way. So the subtlest one gets created first. That is what we're saying. Good.
But there is no mention of time in these Suksham and Sthula Shariram, right? I mean, there's no mention of time. The time is not time seems to be a much later construct. There is no mention of time here, is there?
Yeah, he didn't mention time in the Sukshma Shariram because he's talking about the body there. Talking about the body, purely the body.
Yeah.
Sthula Shariram, what is Sthula Shariram? What is Sukshma Shariram? What is there in this structure, in this physical entity, what is there? He's
Correct.
So there he didn't bring space and time.
Yeah.
Although space is very much there. Body occupies space, therefore Akasha there. Vayuhu, of course there, because air operating, moving back and forth, and blood also has oxygen. Lungs, of course, has oxygen and carbon dioxide and whatnot. And then apaha, water. Water is what gives the shape to this body. And all through there is water. And Prithvi, Agni, of course, is there. Because the reactions are going on and heat is being created, felt, and temperature is all, you can measure the temperature. That shows Agni is there. And then Prithvi, whole body, the physical part is all Prithvi. That's the one that we should infer from that Sukshma Sharira discussion.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a comment.
These are created in sequence, like a sprout. First Akasa, then Vayu, then fire, then water. They are in a sequence or all parallel?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
So they don't say about how long it took to create Akasha, how long it took to create Vayu.
Yeah.
They don't say like that. It's a model is like that. So the model says after Akasha is created, only Vayu can be. Okay. Without Akasha, there can't be Vayu.
Okay.
Without Akasha, there can't be Vayu. So if you see, so that's the way to look at it. And so there is a sequence definitely, and how fast it happens, etc. It's up to us to visualize.
Okay.
Go ahead.
It's, okay. They eliminated the Brahma. So the creation waited for light till the third stage, fire.
Correct.
Then usually the light is associated with the opposite of ignorance. That is opposite of ignorance. That is out of ignorance, first two were created.
No. Not like that.
Sorry.
Don't bring ignorance here. So light is just
Usually our general understanding is ignorance is darkness.
No, ignorance.
Light is
No. Ignorance is not darkness. Ignorance is symbolized by darkness.
Symbolized, correct.
We should say ignorance is darkness. Ignorance is symbolized by darkness. It's dark. We are groping. They know groping in the dark. They say, No, groping in ignorance also we can say, I suppose. So
you can still perceive darkness through your right. I mean, that is not ignorance still.
So of course, ignorance also is perceived.
Yeah.
We can say, I don't know something. I don't know Chinese. Perceived. So yeah. So that's the point there. Symbolized by, not equated. Yeah. Go ahead, Prasad.
Yeah, so just have a comment based on last class discussion, because I had to leave early. So we talked about where is this ignorance and time and space. So my comment is on time and space. Well, it is true that the time and space are all, there are objects of our experience, right? Similar to everything else, whatever has been experienced. But the well, we need time and space as we are Jiva. So before we transcend to Brahman. So in other words, my side of the world has to consider to understand the facts, the time and space, and your side of the world. What I mean by that is like enlightened person who understands already what is Brahman, who am I. So obviously, time and space as objects. So since the order of reality is different, to understand time and space is important. We cannot ignore that. So in other words, for example, Mandukya, another concept where it says that creation never happened, right? It is just existing. It is just existence itself. So, we have not transcended to understand that, for example, on my side of the world. So time and space is still relevant. That's my comment.
Correct. So that's right. So to come to the point of recognizing time and space as not given, as something that is part of the creation, not outside the creation, right? And it's a big revelation. I think it's a big step up. I think that's why many scientists in the Western scientists who have slowly come to know about all this. I used to wonder why all this Ralph Waldo Emerson and all these people, shiploads of books went from India to America also. Of course, Europe also it went. And they picked up all these books. And somebody, what's his name? Somebody he read this Kathopanishad, and he wrote a poem on Kathopanishad. So I don't know, Will Durant or somebody, I forget who it was. So they are all impressed by it because it says very clearly. Time and space cannot be taken for granted. It's part of the creation. And it is also, number two, is a manifestation. That is the clinching part of the whole thing. Manifestation. Then suddenly everything comes to you just like that. Is it not? Wave is not created out of water. Wave means we can't use the word creation. Wave is manifesting from water. Perfect. Good. Any other question?
Same way the Maya, just to say in one sentence, my understanding is that it has created the ignorance, and the same Maya has to be used to get that ignorance. in the real world. Because in order to understand this, again, the real world has to be used by us, Jiva, to understand the reality, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. They say, Kantakena Kantakam Nirakaratu. Remove the nail with a nail. Then you throw the nail away after that. You don't preserve the nail in your almara. Oh, this is the nail. That with which I removed the nail from my leg 15 years ago. It's not like a item that you tell your guests, these are my prizes, all the awards I got. And then this, by the way, is a nail. We don't say that. We just toss the nail out. So that's how Maya also is like that. We use Maya, and then we also we appreciate Brahman. That's how it works. Correct. Good observation. Good. Okay. So we will stop with that.